Jeremy's just finding all my comfort preferences here. So last time we did the apple pie smoothie. This time we're doing the blueberry bread pudding. And so I would say maybe I'm partial to it, but this is the ultimate comfort food. And it is great to fuel the body with protein and fiber. And then the fruit adds just that natural sweetness, some more fiber, and other health promoting compounds. So it's a great pick-me-up if your energy level is low. And on a day like today, where it's raining and dreary, might be something to consider as a little snack at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, again, another great way to use up some of those odds and ends. And, you know, I don't know if anyone freezes bread at home. We do a lot of bread freezing at home. And again, it's a good way to kind of go through it without, minimizing food waste, right? And you kind of freeze up some of that bread before it goes. And then you can use it you can toast it and use it the way you want to use it. But it's great for these like bread pudding, dessert types of dishes. Because the freezing process doesn't really matter. We're going to be slow cooking that, getting that kind of nice and soft. Even if you have a slightly staler bread, it's actually perfect for bread pudding because it's going to help to soak up all that extra flavor, which is awesome. I'm going to grab the frozen blueberries and bananas. Just a quick question. So I'm not sure if you mentioned, do you have to flip the meatballs at any point? Great question. You don't have to. They're going to cook again using that food thermometer to make sure that you're hitting that 165. You don't have, it'll cook if you want to. What I did was I just took halfway through, I just took some of that sauce and just poured it on top so that it kind of coated it and created this nice crust. But there's no need to flip them at any point. It's not like if you were baking them on a baking sheet, you would want to get like even cooking on both sides, so then you can flip them, but in the sauce there's no need to. But great question. Okay, so sorry, I'm talking off camera here, but I'm just grabbing our frozen items. Again, we love frozen. Super convenient, and again, like Daniela mentioned, and all the prep, all the washing, all that stuff is done for you. So especially if you don't have the time or energy to cut through and chop everything and prep everything, leaning on frozen is just an amazing advantage. All right, so bread pudding, we're going to start off with our custard. We're making our custard, and that's sort of going to go into the bread and the blueberries. So we're going to make with a blueberry bread pudding. And the first thing I'm going to add our blender is some banana. I had frozen banana. It doesn't have to be frozen because we're going to be cooking this anyways. But that banana is going to give us some really nice body, really nice consistency to our custard. It's also going to add some sweetness, which is nice because that's going to be our main source of sweetness. And to that, we're going to add 3 eggs. So right now it kind of looks like we're making a Rocky Balboa shake. But we're not going to be drinking this, I assure you. This is going to be cooking this our bread. So 3 eggs. And here.
Eggs seem to get a bad rap, but it's interesting that, yes, the egg white has most of the protein, but there are many, many nutrients in the yolk. So it's good to not always discard the yolk and have it as part of your nutritious meal. And as they do more research, they're actually finding that eggs can actually improve your cholesterol profile. And they received a bad rap because they contain a lot of cholesterol, but dietary cholesterol is not what affects the cholesterol in our blood. So it's okay to have in the diet.
Perfect. Okay, so we have our eggs. I added some milk. This was just some oat milk. You can obviously add any milk to this for the custard. It'll work. And then a pinch of cinnamon. I have a little bagged cinnamon here today, which is okay. Nice little pinch of cinnamon. And that's pretty much it. Like if you like it on the sweeter side, you can definitely, add a little bit of maple syrup to this at this point here, a little bit of honey. I love the idea, like the banana is gonna make it sweet, and the blueberries that are gonna make it sweet. So it's not gonna be overly sweet, but it's enough for me, but you can adjust it obviously to your taste. All right, so we're gonna blend this up. I'll go mute for a second.
So a little bit about bananas. So they are probably the most popular fruit around, and the starch in the banana. So the greener banana is more of a starch, and then as it ripens, it becomes more of a sugar. And many people will avoid it if they have diabetes, but bananas actually have a lower glycemic index. So it is something that you don't have to avoid completely. If you do have diabetes, you may just not want to have like the overripe bananas or have a lot of it. But in a mixture like this, it would be totally fine.
Okay, so here's the custard. Again, banana, milk, eggs, and a little pinch of cinnamon. And our bread, we have this whole grain bread here. Now again, for most most bread pudding, my mind went blank. Like, what are we making again? Bread pudding recipes, usually they call for like stale bread. Again, this is like I'm not waiting around for bread to go stale. Like, this is fresh bread, but if you wanted to make it or mimic that staleness, just pop it into like an oven, like at 250, 300 for like 10, 20 minutes, and it'll sort of firm up a little bit, and you sort of mimic that staleness, so you have some integrity. Just because if it's really soft, it'll sort of disintegrate as it's slowly cooking in the oven. So if you don't have like frozen bread or like a day old, you could just toast up whatever loaf you have. So I'm going to put that in my bowl. I think I'm going to need a little bit more. So I'm going to slice off a little bit more here. There's a couple comments in the chat, which I'll read as I'm slicing this. So again, frozen veggies and fruits is my go-to, especially during the winter months. Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Especially, we're filming out of Canada. I'm not sure if everyone's tuning in from Canada, but we have a very short growing season. So utilizing those frozen fruit and vegetable are fantastic. Another comment, it looks delicious and great job. Great job and great pivoting. Yes, pivot. We are working in the pivot. All right. So it depends on the pan you're working, like obviously have enough to fill in the pan. I'm using kind of like a cast iron skillet. So about 4 cups-ish of the whole grain bread in there. And then for our frozen components, we're adding some blueberries. Again, love the frozen blueberries. Usually always have these on hand. But you can do this with frozen cherries. Actually, with frozen cherries, it'd be really, really good. Those are one of my favorite frozen fruit items to use. You can do like frozen raspberries, strawberries if you want. Sure, great. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pour most of that over. I'm going to save a little bit just to top. And we'll give it a little toss. Now, if you can do this, instead of using another bowl, you can definitely do this directly into the baking dish that you're cooking it in. I just wanted to show you actually something with that. So baking dish here, I'm using a cast iron. You don't want to mess around with the cleaning of it after. A piece of parchment and just cut it to about the same size. And then I'm going to run it under water real quick just so I can kind of crunch it up. So we take that piece of parchment, run it under water, and then it becomes super malleable after, and we can kind of just tuck it into the pan, and then we're gonna have that bread pudding bake in there. That way, saves us from having to soak this pan and muck around with the cleaning of it after. All right, so we're getting close to done. I know we just hit one, probably be a few more minutes. Okay. There's our bread mixture. Squish it down into all the corners. You want it to be nice and flat. And that will also, filling in the space will also help us to kind of cut it a little bit easier. Afterwards, we'll pour that extra custard over top. And I mean, it already smells good. And I didn't even bake it yet. Just wait until this thing is in the oven. It is incredible. So, I mean, this is, as is, really good. I have a little secret weapon here, though, Daniela. It's the last minute spin. Got a little bit of dark chocolate, a little bit of 70%.
Oh, okay.
I know we just passed Valentine's Day, but you know, this is a nice little sneak if you want to add a little bit of extra indulgence. I'm just taking this dark chocolate and just putting some shards of it into the top here. And add
good choice on the dark chocolate because it actually does have some health benefits, nutritional benefits. So that's great. Dark chocolate, the fruits, the whole fiber. It's a great little meal. Well, I guess it's more of a dessert, isn't it? Or a snack.
I knew you would like the dark chocolate edition. You know. There we go. So there's the blueberry bread pudding ready for the oven. We're going to go lower heat, so 350 degrees for about 40 to 45 minutes. So it's a bit of a slower cook, but you're cooking it until you want that custard to set, okay? And whoa, you let this guy cool a little bit. But here we go. After about 45 minutes, yeah, beautiful color on top. You got those blueberries sort of bursting in there and these little sort of pockets of melted chocolate, which is awesome. And again, what I love about the parchment is this will come like right out. So makes the cleanup much, much easier. Also a great little dessert to freeze, right? Cut it up into little cubes, pop it into the freezer, freeze them individually, and then you can throw them into a freezer bag. And again, you have, you know, nice little desserty snack if you desire one. And there we go. That is our last recipe. Comfort food on a budget. Daniela, we did it again.
We did it. Well done. Well done. Great job on those recipes.